City Commission. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Larson,
Here.
Commissioner Angel,
Here.
Commissioner Arbke,
Here.
Commissioner Jennings,
Here.
Commissioner Peck.
Here.
If you will all rise, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time is the Citizens Forum. This is where anyone from the public may come up and speak on anything not on today's agenda. You may come forward and give us your name and address.
There were a number of people here wanting to address the issue: is business up or down in their businesses with regard.
For the record, your name and address, please.
I'm sorry, Gary Schwarzenduber, 528 South College. Since this is not on the formal agenda, if business owners would want to address briefly regarding their business for the next 15 minutes, it seems to me like that would be appropriate. Just wanted to verify that with you.
Well, I think we'll have time for that possibly at a later date. We've only had the ordinance for 30 days, and so I don't know how much information they could possibly have compiled. I mean, I know that they have some, but if it's okay with you, I'd rather just save that for another day, because I think it will be coming.
It doesn't matter to me as much as how it may or may not matter to them.
Well, they have our email address. They can send all the commissioners emails, or they can call us if they want to share that information, but I think there'll be time later for that.
And if and when it may be officially on the agenda at a 4 o'clock City Commission meeting at a later date?
I'm assuming so, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come up and talk about anything not on today's agenda? If not, we'll proceed with awards and proclamations.
Item 4.1, the day of June 2nd, 2009, as National Hunger Awareness Day in the City of Salina. Cindy Foley, USD 305, Director of Food Service, will read the proclamation.
Whereas addressing the food security needs of children, youth, and families today is fundamental to the future of Salina, and whereas the need for comprehensive, coordinated emergency food programs place upon our community a critical responsibility, whereas it is appropriate that a day should be set apart each year for the direction of our thoughts towards the health and well-being of hungry Americans. Whereas the Salina Area United Way, Heartland Programs, and USD 305, through their unique approach to providing free summer lunches, is effectively caring for the needs of hungry children, youth, and families in our community. So now, therefore, I, Lucy Larson, Mayor of the City of Salina, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the day of June 2nd, 2009 as Salina National Hunger Awareness Day in the City of Salina, and urge our citizens and all agencies and organizations interested in meeting the needs of hungry people to unite on that day in the observance of such exercises as will acquaint the people of Salina with the fundamental necessity to support the work of food banks in meeting the food security needs of hungry children, youth, and families.
Is there anything you have planned or any events for tomorrow?
Yes, we do. We have a grand opening or a ribbon cutting ceremony planned at Heartland Programs at Kennedy Early Learning Center, and we have representatives from the USDA coming from the district office in Denver to present some awards for our contribution to the program, and you are all invited to come and attend.
What time is that ribbon cutting?
11:15 is when the ceremonies begin, and I think they will eat lunch then at 11:30. Okay. And we're currently, I might add that we are currently, this is our second week of the summer meal program, and our goal is 25,000 meals before the end of the summer. It will continue through July 17th.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I have a signed proclamation here for you. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Okay, we have no public hearings and items scheduled for a certain time. So with that, I'll move on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of May 18, 2009. Item 6.2, resolution number 096628, appointing Mike Russell to the Heritage Commission. Item 6.3, approve the transfer of a used breathing air compressor to Rural Fire District Number 2. Item 6.4, approve the sole source purchase of a phone system from Next Tech in the amount of $17,373. Item 6.5, award of contract for the Smoky Hill River Water Main Crossing Replacement to M&D of Hayes Incorporated in the amount of $89,250. Item 6.6, award of quote for the Salina landfill fence repair to Charles Alquist in the amount of $19,770. Item 6.7, award of contract for the 2009 ADA ramps, arterial street sidewalks improvements to Lancaster Construction in the amount of $124,872.25. Item 6.8, postpone consideration of resolution number 096626, authorizing agreement with Saline County for the county's acquisition of an easement of city property along Farley Road until June 8, 2009.
Are there any, excuse me, are there any commissioners that wish to pull anything from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull item 6.4.
Any others? I just have a couple questions, and I'm hoping we don't have to pull them just to answer my question. On 6.5, Ms. Tasker, I noticed that, that the bid from Hayes was quite a bit lower than the other bids and quite a bit lower than our estimate.
Yes, that's
Missed
correct.
something? Okay.
No, and we've spoke with them to make sure that they're square on what they bid, and they are. And they have done other projects here in Salina.
Okay.
And so
That was
we feel comfortable with
quite
their
a bit
work.
of difference. Okay. That always sends a red flag for me. And then the other one, Mr. Frazier, on 6.6, I don't understand why we had two bids.
One of the bids was for posts that were domestically made, and the other one was for posts that were foreign. This is something that the contractor offered up to us. We didn't request it.
Okay.
So we reported both bids.
Okay. But it was from the same person.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. That, if that was in the write-up, I missed it, but I thought I read that twice, and I didn't see why it was different, so thank you. Anything else from the commissioners? Otherwise, we'll, we pulled 6.4, so I need a motion to approve those remaining.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. At this time, do we go right to 6.4 then to discuss it? The one he had pulled? Okay.
Is Chief here?
Chief Mulligan? Oh, there he is.
Hopefully these will turn out easy as well, but I knew there were quite a few of them. The thing that it sounds like it's a project that's going to take us to where we wanted to get to a long time ago. I just have a little bit of a few questions on how we're going to do that. If I read it right, we're sending two different streams, audio and video. Do you feel that they won't have any of that digital glitch or the audio video glitch that might disrupt the training aspect or anything along those lines with this?
The system that we're putting in is a much simpler system than what we tried before and tried to push both audio and video across the network connection. this system is a lot like business uses. Business routinely uses the systems where you call in, dial in on the audio stream into a conference type call, and you see the video and the audio is handled separately. So that's really a proven technology. It really is nothing that's really out there, and is really solid for us, I think. And the other advantage is that one of the things that I'm really excited about is that as we do training and things of that nature, once we give them the IP address to connect to that computer that we're using for that video stream, and we give them the phone numbers, we can connect anyone in Saline County into our training. We could take our rural fire districts, have them dial in on their computers. They could pull it up and connect to the video stream, and it will change fundamentally how we do some of our lecture type training. We were talking the other day about having a physician come in. And the problem is when you have 3 shifts and you have a physician come in, they don't like to come back 3 times. So we have to capture that sort of thing and allow other people to come into those sessions, and this video conferencing system will not only handle live, real time, but will also handle streamed type media to where they can come in, tap into those lectures that a physician would give and see those after that lecture has occurred. So we're pretty excited about it, I think.
Have they done any demo? Have you to fill? Of course, I look at what we spent before and say, well, we should have had some sort of guarantee, and then we could have put somebody's feet to the fire. But if you've seen a demo and feel comfortable, that's the main.
I'll tell you, when Sang showed me how easy this was, he came in, listened, and really Breeze had a lot of capability that we would never have used, and it's buying something that's very complex, and we force it through the city's computer system and networking and firewalls and all this sort of stuff. It was just ridden with glitches and stuff. And when Sang came in and looked at the process and listened to what was going on, he said, "I've got something that will probably work for you," and showed that virtual connection in audio. And I'm going, "Well, how much does this cost?" He said, "Well, nothing is free." And I'm going, "You're kidding me." No, he says it's free. He said, "All we've got to do is get our audio stream through a conference call, and we can send the video, have anybody tie into it."
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 6.4 for the approval of the replacement of the phone system at Fire Station Number 1 to facilitate the video conferencing and interdepartmental communications.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the phone system from Nextech in the amount of $17,373 for the fire department. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Development business.
Item 7.1, application number Z09-4, requesting a change in zoning district classification from R3 to C1 on property legally described as the east 85 feet of Lot 7 on 9th Street in Bishop's Addition and addressed as 155 North 9th Street. Sub-item 7.1A, first reading ordinance number 09, 10,501.
Mr. Andrew.
Mayor and Commissioners, this application was filed by Deborah Burt, the owner of Salina Insurance Services, and that business purchased this property in 2003 and moved to this location from East Iron. The lot where the office is located is formerly a service station building. It was built in the 1950s, and south of that used to be a residence which was demolished in 1971, and that property has stayed primarily vacant since that time. The applicant would like to construct a new parking lot south of the insurance office, and the property needs to be rezoned to match the current zoning of the insurance office. We've gone over for you the various requirements for constructing parking lots and the dimensions. There is screening in place. There's existing privacy fences on the west and south property lines, and the parking lot that you see in your packet there does conform with the city's design standards as far as the dimensions for driving area and parking. If you look at the lot being requested for rezoning, it only contains a little over 4,200 square feet, so it's not really suitable as a standalone lot. It would make more sense to merge it with this lot and create an 8,500 square foot zoning lot. That plus the fact that the property's been primarily vacant for 38 years as it stands probably means that there's not a market to build anything with housing. This is a transition zone in our comprehensive plan between Central Business District and residential, and the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this request on May 5th, and they unanimously recommended approval of the C1 zoning as requested. There was no opposition to the zoning change, but the property owner to the south, directly to the south, let it be known that they didn't want to have a shared residential commercial driveway. And at the south end of the property on the site plan, you can see that there's a plan for a one-way exit-only driveway. Our research shows that that driveway cut has always been there. It was just used as a access to the residence before, but there is enough width there on the north side of that line to have at least a one-way exit-only drive. But with that, I'd be happy to address any questions.
Questions of Mr. Andrew? Okay, thank you. I'll open it up for public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
I'd like to move that we approve ordinance 09-10501, application Z09-4 filed by Deb Burt requesting a change in zoning district classification from R3 multifamily to C1 residential business.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 09-10501. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.1, first reading ordinance number 09-10502, amending Chapter 8, Division 2 of the Salina Code by adding Section 8-54.1, providing for an amendment to Section 602.3.1 of the 2003 International Residential Code to create a new exception allowing certain walls to exceed current height limitations.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I think it's probably important to start with a little bit more background to explain the background of this particular amendment. The International Residential Code, which we've currently adopted to govern residential construction, 1- and 2-family dwellings in our community, has been designed so that if you follow certain cookbook or prescriptive requirements in the code, then you don't have to go hire an engineer to do an overall structural design for your home, which would probably be cost prohibitive in most cases or in many cases. And so it sets forth these prescriptive limitations on how you can proceed with the construction, i.e. rafter links, floor joist links, various wall bracing requirements and things like that. So among those prescriptive requirements is a height limitation for laterally unreinforced studs in a wall, and it gets a little technical, but it limits that height to 10 feet for load-bearing walls in any condition. And for a variety of reasons, our home builders had occasional need to build a little taller walls than that, which I won't go into the details of that, but occasionally they needed to do that, and when they came to a need to do that, the only way that they could do that would be to go hire an engineer to review their particular design and make sure that it was within the design parameters for our location to allow them to do that. And they were routinely going to an engineer of their choice and getting those approved, and so consequently they thought it should be feasible just based on that anecdotal evidence to ask for a code amendment to ask for a higher limitation on that wall. So there wasn't an organized request for this, but staff felt like that was a concern for the builders, and so we brought this as a stakeholder concern to the board's attention in February of 2008. However, because the prescriptive requirements in the code are based in some engineering logic, they were reluctant to recommend any changes to the prescriptive codes without some more technical analysis of that request to support and shape such a change. They declined to take any action at that particular meeting other than to ask representatives of the Salina Home Builders Association who were in attendance at that meeting to consider bringing back a report from a licensed engineer that would provide some more specific recommendations for an amendment. The home builders did retain the services of a structural engineer who provided a letter that outlined his recommendations, and then those recommendations were based on our specific wind and snow load requirements here in Salina. Rather than using national averages, it focused specifically on what our design requirements were, and then recommendations for then modifying our current code limitations. The board reviewed those recommendations in April of this year and voted to direct us to, as staff, to provide an appropriate amendment language to incorporate those recommendations. They reviewed the text that we prepared at their meeting last month, and the following action, as reflected in the minutes that we provided, was taken. The review of the language that we incorporated or proposed was approved, and we have included for your review in the packet, we included our staff report, we included the letter from the licensed engineer outlining his recommendations, and then the summary of the board minutes from the May meeting. We would recommend that the City Commission act on the amendment request as set forward by the Building Advisory Board to amend the 2003 International Residential Code. I'd be happy to answer any questions you'd have for us at this time.
Questions of Mr. Roberts?
How many exemptions have we done recently where they've gone and hired an engineer to raise the height limit?
This is actually the first one we've ever done where we've amended the prescriptive requirements in the code based on an engineer's recommendation. The board is currently reviewing another item at this point in time where they've asked the Salina home builders to go and ask to hire an engineer to make some recommendations for a change, but this is the first amendment request that we've made based on having engineering data to support that recommendation.
Thank you.
And just so that I'm processing all of this after 2 years, it's making sense. The residential code, do they also go every 3 years?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so they're like the commercial ones. So this is 03, and next will be 06, and we're
That is
in 09.
correct. That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. This time, is there any public comment? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move we pass ordinance number 09-10502 on first reading as recommended by staff and the Building Advisory Board.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded, and we approve on first reading ordinance number 10502, amending Chapter 8, Division 2 of the Salina Code by adding Section 8-54.1 of the 2003 International Residential Code. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Is there any other business?
Yeah, Mayor, I would move we recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss with legal counsel matters subject to the attorney-client privilege for the reason that public discussion of those matters would waive the privilege and adversely affect the city's interest in the matters, and reconvene in this room at 4:38.
Second?
I thought it was 20 minutes.
No, 20 minutes, excuse me, 4:48.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Do you anticipate any action?
We do not.
Okay. We are in executive session.